So today I want to go over my 3 biggest lessons to beginner DeFi investors or even people that are just investing into DeFi in general that maybe perhaps have not learned these lessons quite yet. This is going to be a value video, so we're going to dive very deep into these different lessons. And if at any point you guys enjoyed today's content, make sure to drop a like and of course subscribe. And we're going to dive straight in. The first lesson that we have today is chase assets, not yields. This is something that has been in our DeFi curriculum in DeFi Legacy since February of 2023, literally since we launched Builder Wealth basically. Chase assets, not yields. And the reason why is because by chasing yields, you are taking on so much more risk than just simply getting a little bit lower of a return. If we chase assets, like let's just say we chase Ethereum, which is a very, very solid asset, or we chase BTC, or we chase Sol, or whatever other asset we truly believe in, we will ultimately end up in a better situation than if we were chasing Fartcoin earning a 1000% yield basically. We do not want to chase Fartcoin or other meme coins or other just assets that don't have any utility. We want to be comfortable holding the assets, and therefore we want to put those assets in a liquidity pool and earn yield on them. Let me show you an example of that. Let's go over to Solana Network because there's a lot of trending positions over here, and we sort by APR. We see Pup Sol, Billy Sol, Chill Guy Sol. Now these ones blatantly do not have any utility. These aren't ones that I would go blatantly invest into, right? But then maybe perhaps we dive into other assets that might have some utility or might portray that they have utility, but they actually don't. Let's just say Mobile Sol. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying that Mobile is a horrible token. I actually haven't done much research into Mobile. But if we simply come over here and deploy into Mobile to Sol because it has a high APR, what's going to happen is whenever it starts to go bad, because it always does turn around, the market does go down. Newsflash, the market's down today, basically. But whenever the market starts to go down, since we don't have conviction in these assets, you're going to end up making an emotional decision. Perhaps that's a good emotional decision. You get out before further losses. Perhaps it's a bad one and you lock in a loss, and ultimately you could have had a much greater profit or even broke even if you just held it out. But if we look at Mobile over the past year, you can see it went all the way from its price over here at roughly 0.0039 all the way down to 0.00098. So it's went down substantially. Over the past year, it's down 75%. If we were to just chase the yields in Mobile, ultimately, yes, we're doing a super high return, but we wouldn't have made our money back from those yields because the underlying asset is depreciating. And one thing that we have to understand when we are investing into these DeFi yield generation strategies is if we have $100 in the position, or even $1,000 in the position, or $10,000 in the position, right? We are earning based on what we have in the position. So if we are getting a 1000% APR, right, and we have $100 in the position, we are earning roughly $1,000 per year, basically. It's great. Whereas if that $100 goes down to $50 within the time span of just a couple weeks, we are now earning $500 per year. Ultimately, it's going to be hard for us to make that difference back. Now, in the situation of 1000% APR, it's a little bit different. Maybe you could make that difference back if you have some luck on your side, right? It's still not a good strategy to do, but maybe it works better. But if you're doing, say, 250% APR on a position, and say you have $1,000 in it, basically, well, that's going to be a total of $2,500 per year, until, of course, your $1,000 goes to $750. Now you're making 250% on $750. And then maybe it goes down to $500. Now you're making 250% on $500, so on and so forth. So the point is, as the price goes down, it's going to be harder and harder and harder to make that money back because, of course, you're earning based on your actual capital value within the pool. So by chasing assets, not the yields, we can find solid assets that we aren't going to make emotional decisions on. And of course, we can earn good income on those assets. Just because we are chasing assets and not yields doesn't mean that we're going to do a measly 50% APR on our portfolio. I'm currently getting a 120% APR on my portfolio. I am down $6.2 thousand. I do not give a shit that I'm down $6.2 thousand because these underlying assets are down. And I'm outperforming if I were to just hold my money in these underlying assets. For example, Ethereum to Aave down $2,000, but I'm at a $355 profit compared to if I held in the market. That's a win for me. Spec Ethereum, $163 profit compared to if I held in the market. Yet I'm down $1,100. Still at a profit compared to holding those initial assets in the market. That's a win for me. Ethereum to Aether, this is one of my big assets that does a very good return. 20K in this position, I'm down $3,100, but I'm at a $1,500 profit compared to holding in the market. So 155% APR. Once again, this is a win for me. And the beauty of this strategy is if we take a look at all my Aether positions, I'm actually at an overall profit on these. I'm at an $8,000 profit on my Aether positions because I am chasing assets, not the yield. My first position in Ethereum to Aether strategy, down $1,400. If I quit here and I just said, oh no, I don't like this, right? Because maybe I was chasing the yield in this instance. Then guess what? I wouldn't have made 6.1K for my next position, 6.5K from the position after that. And of course, now we have another interrupt in the sequence of down 3.1K. And this one I'm still holding out. I don't need to adjust the range or anything because it's still doing a 154% APR. Point is, by chasing the assets, not the yield, we are not going to make emotional decisions. If I was not confident in this asset, I would have exited right over here and I would have missed out and forgone all these gains right here. My second lesson, and this one is an important one, and I don't actually see a lot of people talking about this one. I like to call it lose money here, make money there. And what that essentially means is you do not have to make the money back on something that you lose money on. And let's go ahead and break that down and dive a little bit deeper into that. What I mean is if we have a position, let's just say it was that SOL to mobile liquidity pool. And perhaps we lose some money on that SOL to mobile liquidity pool because we weren't following this first rule over here. We were chasing the yields, not the assets, right? Just because we lost money on SOL Mobile, perhaps we lost, let's just say 25%, does not mean that we have to make that money back on SOL Mobile. Let's say this equated to $250 basically. We don't need to try to make $250 back from SOL Mobile. It would be better and less risky to take what we have left, and let's just say that was $750, and put it into a different position that actually has high utility and has similar growth potential to mobile, and try to make the money back there and try to make it back in a different asset. Because ultimately we have two different situations. We have the SOL Mobile situation, and we can make our money back in SOL Mobile, end up with another $1,000 if the price appreciates. Or we have another position which has similar growth potential. How much do we end up with if the price goes back up? $1,000. So why would we want to continue to risk money in a losing strategy to try to make some money in there if we could just flip it into another position that has a lower risk, higher reward, and of course in a similar category to mobile so we can make it back in a different asset? That is what we would want to do instead. The other option, make it back there instead of trying to make it back here and ultimately losing more money. I see people forego this rule all the time. They lose money on one, they keep trying to make the money back on that one, keep trying to make it back in fees. There's a psychological subconscious barrier basically. Your head is saying, hey, I lost the money here, so I need to make it back there. No, you just need to make it back in general. It doesn't matter where you make it back from. So wouldn't you rather take a lower risk and have a higher chance of making it back than take a higher risk and have a lower chance of making it back? It doesn't make sense to do the latter option. It makes sense to just make it back somewhere else that has higher growth potential. I want to show you one of my losing strategies. Over here, I have Ethereum to link. Now, this one did profit compared to holding in the market. You can see I'm at a $1,200 profit compared to if I held in the market, and I had $2,500 in earnings. Not that bad, but I lost $10,000 on this strategy. The assets went down $12,000. It's a lot of money, and I believe I started with around $30,000 in this strategy. So again, good chunk of money that I lost here, and the positions were not doing that great. Like, yes, we have an 850 profit versus HODL over here. Then we're down 131. Then we're up 115. Then we're down 12 versus HODL, up 22 versus HODL, up 100 versus HODL, up 40 versus HODL. It's not that good. So what did I do? I flipped it into Aether, an asset that had similar growth potential. This time it was out of a different category, but it still provided a solution. It was a business that was generating revenue. And ultimately, by flipping it back in there, I was able to make money back in this strategy. And I have a ton of different strategies just like this, where I lose money on one and I make it back on a different one, and I do better in that other one. Because it's going to happen. You're going to lose money. You're going to have strategies that fail. Even when I've been doing this for 4 years, I have strategies that fail. But having that psychological barrier where you lose money here and you have to make it back at that same exact spot, no, you just don't do that, right? Because you're going to end up losing more money. Why'd you keep your money in something that's continuously losing money? Obviously, the difference is if an asset's going down while the entire market's going down, it's correlated with the market, that's fine, right? Whereas if an asset's going down and the market's consolidating and the market's going up, well, that's a different story. Maybe that's where you want to switch to a different strategy. And my third rule, which is also very important, separate liquidity pools and HODLs. And the reason why is because divergence loss is a thing. Divergence loss is going to happen. There are going to be times where Bitcoin might be up 10%, and then Ethereum might be up, let's just say 20%, and then Sol might be up 30%, and then altcoins, those things might be up 50%, right? Right here, if you have an altcoin paired with Ethereum, guess what? That's a big divergence right there. Most likely, divergence loss is not going to be covered by any fees that you earn. So if you have a sector of your portfolio that is allocated to HODLs, where you have full market exposure to different cryptocurrency assets, and then you have a sector of your portfolio called LPs, which is generating income right here, and obviously you're still targeting correlated pairs, you're still targeting stuff that has low divergence loss, but you're producing income on these ones. Ultimately, ultimately, that is going to be the best situation for your portfolio because your HODLs have full market exposure. That way you make money whenever the market goes up. And of course, your LPs have partial market exposure, so you still make money when the market goes up, but you're generating an APR and you're generating a yield. Best part is these things can complement each other. You can take income from your LPs, park it in HODLs. You can borrow against your HODLs and create LPs. There's so many different strategies that you can do. You just need to make sure that you have both. And guys, if you want me to cover more on LPs versus HODL, make sure to comment it down below and I'll be happy to make a video on it. And while you're here, make sure to give me a follow over on Instagram. It's right there, Jake A. Call. I post a ton of valuable content about DeFi over there, and I'd like to keep you updated. So these right here are my 3 rules. Chase assets, not yields. We want solid assets in the portfolio, and the yields are a complement to those assets, right? If they're doing good yields, that's great, right? We have good assets and we have good yields. One of the main strategies I see for implementing this is find assets first, then go and see if they have good yields associated with them. Number 2, lose money here, make money there. Just because you lose money somewhere does not mean that you have to make it back in the same exact place. It's like a completely dumb strategy. If you have a losing strategy compared to the overall market, yet you keep your money in it, it's going to continue to lose most likely. So why not just try to make the money back elsewhere? And then number 3, separate your liquidity pools and HODL so you have peace of mind. Ultimately, these rules, having these 3 implemented in your portfolio, you should not be sweating at night. You should not be worried at night about your portfolio, wondering what you have to do. You should not be worried when the market's down because you have these 3 rules implemented in your portfolio. And if you guys want support implementing these 3 rules in your portfolio, we have a program called DeFi Legacy where we'll literally walk you through implementing these 3 rules among many, many other frameworks directly into your portfolio. It's our one-on-one coaching program. The link is going to be right below this video if you guys want to check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, make sure to comment what you guys want to see next, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.